My name is Emily Carter. I'm 28. 6 months ago, the night before my pharmaceutical licensing exam, my parents sold my car. Not because someone was dying, not because the family was homeless, because my younger sister was about to lose an apartment she couldn't afford. At first, I thought this was just another cruel family decision. I was wrong, because while I was focused on replacing a car, I discovered my name had been tied to financial decisions I never approved, and 6 months later, my parents weren't asking for forgiveness. They were asking for a way out. I stepped outside at 6:12 p.m. No car, just empty driveway. I froze, looked left, right. Nothing. My licensing exam was at 8 a.m. the next morning. My stomach dropped. I called Dad immediately. He answered too fast, almost like he'd been waiting. "Where's my car?" Silence. Then, "We need to talk." Bad sign. Very bad sign. When I got inside, Mom was crying. I couldn't tell yet whether it was guilt or panic. My sister Ava sat on the couch looking exhausted, defensive, and far less certain than I expected. Dad folded his hands. "We sold the car." I laughed. Actually laughed. "What?" Ava needed help. I stared. "My exam is tomorrow." Dad shrugged. "You can reschedule." That sentence changed something inside me. Ava crossed her arms. "It's not that simple." She sounded far too prepared for someone in a crisis. "How much?" Mom whispered. 8,000. For rent? No. Luxury high-rise, valet parking, pool, gym, views. I'd never even visited, because apparently I couldn't afford that energy, but somehow my car could. Micro twist. Ava didn't look embarrassed. She looked relieved. Dad placed my spare keys on the counter. Like that made this normal. Temporary sacrifice. Temporary? You sold the car. That's not temporary. I asked. Who signed the title? Silence. Mom looked away. Ava checked her phone. Dad said, "Family handles family." That wasn't an answer. That's not an answer. That's what guilty people say instead of answers. I need that car. Dad sighed dramatically. Emily, it's one exam. One exam. One. The licensing exam I'd studied 2 years for. The exam tied to my job offer. The exam tied to my future. Ava muttered, "You're being selfish." That nearly made me black out. Selfish? My car. My exam. My future. And somehow I was selfish. Amazing. Dad refused. Mom whispered, "Please don't make this harder." Harder? I looked at Ava. She wouldn't meet my eyes. That told me enough. Then Dad said, "The paperwork's already done." Done? Without me? My pulse kicked hard. The title had been transferred fully into my name after college. Dad knew exactly where every document was kept, which meant someone had signed something. If your family ever treated your future like it was disposable, comment, never again. At 10 p.m., my best friend Tara drove over. She took one look at my face. "What happened?" I told her. She just stared. Then, "That's theft." "Correct." Bless Tara. She drove me to the exam hotel, because unlike my family, some people show up. But in the elevator, my phone buzzed. Unknown bank alert. That was weird. I almost ignored it. Subject line, credit inquiry notification. I frowned. I hadn't applied for anything. I opened it. Mortgage-related language, preliminary review. My name, my social. I went cold. Mortgage? I rented a 1-bedroom apartment. Tara saw my face. "What?" I whispered. "I think something's wrong." I had no idea how wrong. I took the exam. Barely. Hands shaking, mind split, questions blurred, drug interactions, clinical protocols, dosage calculations. I finished somehow. Walked outside numb. Then checked voicemail. One message. Dad. "Call me, we need your signature again." Again? Again? That one word changed everything. I called the bank from Tara's car. The woman verified identity, then asked casually, "Regarding the home equity inquiry?" I froze. "What home?" Pause. Then, "The property linked to your profile." My blood ran cold. I didn't own property. So why? Was my name tied to a house? And suddenly, the car wasn't the real story. I made the bank repeat it. Slowly. The property associated with your identity. I gripped Tara's dashboard. What address? Then she said it. My parents' house. I laughed. Short. Broken. No. The woman paused. Miss Carter? That house was theirs. Always theirs. So why was my name anywhere near it? And why did Dad need my signature again? Tara pulled into a parking lot. What happened? I told her. She went completely still. Then, Emily. That tone. The bad one. Check your credit. I opened the app, hands shaking, then saw it. Home equity inquiry. 2 prior pulls. A personal loan review. My name. My social. Dates going back months. No. No way. This wasn't new. This had already started. Dad called. I answered immediately. Why is my name tied to your house? Silence. Then, you're overreacting. Classic guilty parent language. Answer me. Mom grabbed the phone. Sweetheart, it's complicated. Also guilty language. Then Ava shouted in the background, just don't tell her everything. That single sentence changed the conversation. Silence. Then Dad hung up. That one sentence told me everything. They were hiding layers. I called my Aunt Rebecca, Dad's older sister, the family truth machine. She answered on second ring. I asked one question. Has Dad ever mentioned my name on paperwork? Long pause. Then, oh no. My blood went cold. What? Rebecca exhaled. Emily. I thought you knew. Worst sentence in the English language, because it means everyone knew. Except you. Rebecca told me something weird. Years ago, Dad bragged my excellent credit would help family planning. I froze. What family planning? I was 24 then, in school, drowning in debt, no property, no planning. Then Rebecca said, I assumed you agreed. That word. Assumed. Families do terrible things under that word. This might have started years ago, not months. Tara knew someone at DMV. By 4 p.m. we had records. Car transfer processed. Yesterday. Seller signature. Mine. Forged. Again. Same handwriting style. Same looping E. Same fake confidence. I stared at the document. Tara whispered, Your dad? Maybe. Maybe Mom. Maybe both. But one thing was certain. This wasn't emotional chaos. This was fraud. Repeated fraud. Ava texted me unexpectedly. You'll understand eventually. Not denial, not apology. I replied, Did you know? Pause. Then, it was supposed to be temporary. I went to my parents' house. Dad wasn't there. Mom panicked seeing me. Interesting. I spotted mail on the counter. One envelope. Bank statement. My name. My actual name, attached to their address. I grabbed it. Mom lunged. Emily, stop. Too late. The statement showed loan activity. My pulse exploded. Because now I had paper. Real paper. Tell me. Mom cried instantly. Real this time. Different tears. Your father was trying to help everyone. Dangerous sentence. By stealing my identity? No. Too fast. Then quieter. Not exactly. Not exactly? I laughed. That terrifying kind. Either you steal someone's identity, or you don't. There's no, not exactly. Mom looked terrified. Good. She should be. I took the bank statement to an attorney Tara recommended. Mr. Halpern reviewed everything carefully. Then he asked a question I wasn't expecting. Did you knowingly sign any financing documents connected to your parents' property? No. He nodded. Then explained that my personal information appeared in active financial records tied to that address. I sat there trying to process what he was saying, because this wasn't just suspicious paperwork anymore. This meant legal liability. Mr. Halpern laid everything out clearly. If someone had used my identity without authorization, it could involve fraud, forged documentation, and financial exposure in my name. I asked the only question that mattered. Can this damage my future? His answer was immediate. Yes. Credit. Licensing, background checks, employment, loans, everything. That was the moment the stolen car stopped being the real story. Halpern requested archived records. By afternoon, something arrived. Old mortgage modification paperwork. 3 years old. My signature. Fake. Again. Same loops. Same handwriting style. Same fraud. I stared at page after page. Not one forged document. Several. This wasn't panic behavior. This was a system. A family system. Built using my name. Micro twist. The theft had history. Dad showed up at my apartment. Uninvited. Angry. Lawyer? Interesting opening. Not apology. Not explanation. Just anger. You embarrassed this family. I laughed. You forged my name. He pointed at me. We kept this family afloat. There it was. Confession dressed as sacrifice. I asked, how many times? Silence. Then, you benefited too. That made no sense. Yet, Tara found Ava's apartment listing, luxury high-rise, insane rent, private concierge, rooftop pool, designer kitchen. I stared. My stolen future paid for that? Then Tara zoomed into one photo. Mail tray, visible envelope, family assistance fund notice. Wait. Ava had already been getting help. Then why steal my car? Micro twist. The apartment story wasn't complete. Mom called crying. I told him this would happen. I stayed silent. She kept talking. Always useful. He said the refinance would solve everything. Refinance. That word hit hard. What refinance? Silence. Too late. Then whisper. Emily. That explained far more than she meant to reveal. Another layer. The house wasn't just mortgaged. It had been refinanced. Using me. Halpern got updated figures. Balance, outstanding obligations, secondary lien, numbers everywhere. I went cold. How much? He told me. $214,000. I laughed. The dangerous kind. My parents didn't just borrow, they built a secret financial empire on my identity. Tara whispered, "Oh my God." Tara wasn't wrong. This wasn't favoritism. This was identity exploitation. Ava came to my apartment. Designer sunglasses, destroyed mascara. Interesting combo. I didn't know everything. Partial confession. Always suspicious. What did you know? She swallowed. That Dad said your name helped approvals. Boom. There it was. Why didn't you stop it? She whispered. I needed help. At least that was honest. Selfish, but honest. My exam results email arrived. I froze, opening it. Passed. Tara screamed. I cried, actually cried. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown lender number, perfect timing. I answered. Ms. Carter, about your overdue obligation? I went ice cold. Passed my exam. Still financially trapped. Victory lasted exactly 8 seconds. Micro twist. Success didn't free me. After reviewing everything, Halpern explained something unexpected. Because my identity had been improperly tied to repeated financing activity, the legal situation was more complicated than a simple fraud complaint. That complexity created leverage. Not emotional leverage, legal leverage. Meaning I finally had options. I returned to my parents' house. Something weird caught my eye. Second mailbox key. Dad panicked seeing me notice. Interesting. I opened it. More mail. Lenders, statements, notices. All in my name. Years worth. Years. Not months. Years. I looked at Dad, then smiled. Because finally, I understood how badly they'd underestimated me. If someone ever used your trust to build lies in your name, comment, expose them. Dad moved fast. Too fast. Tried grabbing the mailbox stack. I stepped back. That reaction told me the documents mattered more than the argument. He wasn't scared of confrontation. He was scared of paper. That told me everything. Give those back. No. His face changed. Not angry. Afraid. Good. Because fear means truth is nearby. I spread everything across Halpern's desk. Statements, loan notices, payment demands, credit correspondence. My name everywhere. Halpern scanned silently, then exhaled. Emily. That tone again. What? He tapped a page. Your parents missed payments. I blinked. And? He looked at me. This house is vulnerable. Not emotionally vulnerable, legally vulnerable. That was different. Very different. Mom came alone that night. No makeup, no strategy smile, just panic. Please don't do this. Interesting wording. Not, please forgive us. Not, please understand. Just, don't do this. I asked. How many years? She cried. 3. 3 years. 3 years of fraud. 3 years of fake family dinners. 3 years of smiling at me. I suddenly felt sick. Why? Mom whispered. Your father lost money. That stopped me. What? Bad investments. That changed the entire financial picture, not just Ava. Dad had gambling-style investment losses, retirement damage, panic borrowing. Then Ava's apartment crisis hit too. Perfect storm or perfect excuse? Because once fraud starts, people get creative. Halpern dug deeper. Dad had invested in speculative property deals. Bad ones. Really bad ones. Money gone. Credit wrecked. Then my clean profile became useful. That phrase made me shake. Useful. Like I wasn't a daughter. I was an asset. A financial instrument. A clean profile. That betrayal hit harder than the car. Ava called crying. Real crying this time. Dad said he'd fix it. I stayed silent. He said it was temporary. That word again. Temporary. Fraud always loves temporary. Then she whispered, the apartment wasn't the first bailout. Micro twist. Of course it wasn't. How many? Silence. Then, 3. Interesting. Very interesting. Halpern spread the records across his desk. Loan notices, refinance paperwork, credit applications, pages and pages with my name, same fake signature, same handwriting pattern, same fraud. I stared at them. How long? He checked the dates, then looked at me. Almost 3 years. 3 years. Not one desperate decision, not one emergency. A system, a deliberate financial system built using my identity. That realization hit harder than losing the car ever did. I asked the question I'd been avoiding. What happens if I do nothing? Halpern didn't soften it. Missed payments continue. Lenders escalate. Your credit takes the damage. And depending on the filings, pause. You may remain financially exposed. I went cold. Because suddenly this wasn't revenge. This was survival. My father hadn't just stolen from me. He'd attached me to the collapse. And if I stood still, I'd fall with them. Halpern laid it out. Clear. Precise. Fraud invalidates claims. Improper signatures weaken debt structure. Missed payments create lender pressure. And my name being involved creates negotiation power. I blinked. Meaning? He folded his hands. Meaning, if lenders move. Pause. You may control the outcome. That was the first moment I understood I had actual leverage. That was the revenge key. 3 weeks later, official notice arrived. Foreclosure pre-action warning. My mother called 12 times. Dad 6, Ava 4. I answered none. Then Dad texted, please. We need your help. I stared at it. The same man who said, take the exam next year. Now suddenly my future mattered. Funny how desperation creates respect. Dad called again. I answered. Silence first. Then, Emily, please. His tone was completely different now. No authority, no lectures, no sacrifice speeches, just fear. What do you want? Help us save the house. I laughed. Actually laughed. The house you used my identity to protect? Silence, because even he heard how insane that sounded. Good. Mom came over crying. Actual crying. Mascara disaster. No performance elegance left. We'll pay you back. I stared. With what? Silence. Exactly. Then, we're family. Amazing. That word finally returned when they needed something. I asked, was I family when you sold my car? She cried harder. No answer. That was answer enough. Ava showed up unexpectedly. Different energy. Quiet. ashamed. Then she handed me something. An envelope. Inside? Bank transfers. Proof. Dad had paid her rent multiple times. Designer purchases too. Luxury spending. Using borrowed money. My money-adjacent fraud. I looked up. You knew? She nodded. Crying. Partial villain, partial victim. Complicated. Best kind of twist. Halpern explained options. Fraud litigation. Identity theft claims. Civil action. Debt dispute. Lender negotiation. Then the most interesting path. Because your name is entangled? Pause. You may intervene directly. I leaned forward. How directly? He slid paperwork over, then said, enough to determine what happens to the house. Boom. That was it. The real power shift. Dad finally told the truth. Mostly. Bad investments, refinancing, hidden debt, second lien, credit collapse, then Ava's apartment crisis, then panic, then me. I asked, why not tell me? His answer? Because it was honest. And awful. You would have said no. That was the truth. That was the whole point. They knew consent mattered. So they skipped it. The lender meeting happened on a Thursday. Cold conference room. Bad coffee. Legal folders everywhere. Dad looked 20 years older. Mom couldn't stop crying. Halpern sat calm. Then documents moved. Signatures happened. Corrections made. Claims restructured. Debt exposure shifted. Dad whispered, Emily. But I was done listening emotionally. Now I listened legally. And legally. They had lost control. 6 months later, everything ended in a conference room. Not a courtroom showdown, not screaming, paperwork, debt restructuring, asset disclosures, repayment terms, mandatory sale of non-essential assets. My father signed every page. For the first time, nobody talked about family sacrifice, only accountability. Ava surprised me. She admitted she knew more than she ever said. But not everything. Dad had told her the situation was temporary, fixable, manageable. She believed what benefited her. That didn't make her innocent. But it didn't make her the architect either. That mattered. Because real family damage is rarely that simple. If you believe kindness should never be mistaken for weakness, like this video, subscribe, and comment, boundaries. I didn't destroy them. I didn't take their home. I didn't humiliate anyone. I forced transparency. Lawyers handled communication. Repayment became documented. Assets were liquidated. Financial access ended. Trust ended too. And for the first time in my life, everything was in writing. Months later, I got my pharmacy license, bought my own replacement car, protected my credit, protected my future. Dad asked me once if things would ever go back to normal. I told him the truth. No. Because forgiveness and access are not the same thing, and trust doesn't come back because someone finally regrets getting caught. The night they sold my car, I thought I lost control of my future. What actually happened? I finally took control of it.